Good morning. I'm here with CindyLing. And so, Cindy, thank you for being willing to film your faith story with us today. So I just had a question about that. You grew up in this area, right?
Actually, I grew up in the city of Rochester. My husband grew up in Greece.
And did you go to church? And did you believe in God as a child, or?
I got to church when I was younger, and I had believed in God.
Yeah.
Then when I got into older grades, I got into public school, and I really hadn't gone to church in a while.
Yeah, that's like me too. I kind of went to church for a long time and then took a break for a while. So did that happen for you as well?
It happened for me as well, you know.
Yeah. And then when you became older, how did God work in your life? What did you see God doing, either for you or for other people?
Well, I remember as I got older, and I met John, we were going to get married. I told him I would join Messiah Lutheran Church, so I did that. You know, we were pretty good, going pretty regular again. I hate to say it, we sort of dropped away, not gone as much. And I can remember, it took us about 10 years when I had my little boy. My little boy Benjamin. I was so excited about that.
Oh, sure.
It was so wonderful. And I remember prior to that, I had ulcerative colitis. I think they may have caused me to have the issues which led to the 10-year delay. So,
oh yeah.
I finally felt well enough. I had my son.
And were you feeling like God was really giving you a special gift to have your son at that point?
I did. I just, for me it was like, wow, I was just so happy. And I have things, happen that way. And the time went on. I remember all of a sudden I developed a limp in my left foot. I remember, I didn't know what it was. It took about 6 months. Well, my dad had ALS also, so they did the blood test.
Right.
When they told me what I had, I remember telling the doctor, I said, I made a mistake. I go, I can't have that. I'm like, I've got, at the time my son was 2, I'm like, I've got a 2-year-old.
Right.
I can't have ALS, And unfortunately, it turned out that I did, and it was a hard thing. Because at that age, I kind of wanted to remember when I could, I could play with him and do things with him that parents usually do. But then, I said to myself, well, I guess everything that happens, there must be no reason for it. And you're still trying to find out what the reason is all the time, but I used to think maybe it was like this great big thing. All of a sudden, like a light bulb would go off, and I go, now I know why it all happened. I'm starting thinking maybe a bunch of little different things that you do as your life goes on. I can definitely say I feel closer to God now. But I think it's kind of sad that we all have the capacity, we all have the ability to be this way. But it's until something, bad happens, or you get sick, there's like little signs everywhere. So you kind of miss them, though. It lets you know to look for them.
Right. So now you feel like you're able to look for those signs a little bit better, would you say? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like every time something had happened, maybe I'd be having a really bad day, I'd just say, God, I think I've had enough of this. I gotta be done, or I'd think, well, I just would feel like, when you can't move around that much, you always gotta ask people for help. You kind of start to wonder. And I remember one time, I was at the ALS clinic, and I thought, well, oh my God, I'm almost done here. I remember this MD lady, she'd come in, she said to me, I ran into this lady, and she told me that she gave you, I think I gave her phone number, or my phone number to her son, but it was many months ago. And, she really wants to reach out to you, so I thought, well, maybe I'm not done. Or, maybe I'd have a bad day. And I went to the ALS clinic, and I think I was eating right before bed, right? I'd eat right before bed. I lay down. Of course, you feel bad when you do that, Anybody would, even if you weren't sick. But because I have ALS, I called up, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I said, I go to bed and I can't breathe, so they did the testing right away. Turned out I mean, this was a couple of years. I mean, now it's really progressing, but back then it was like right before bed. I remember I felt so silly about that, but then up until then, I'm like, oh, well, listen to me. I lay down, it's hard to breathe, and this and that. But then I got an emails were leaving from my friend Linda saying about how, like, her husband Ralph, he was in the hospital, he had pneumonia, and I thought, well, like, whenever I think I have it bad, I get like this good dose of shut the hell up, somebody else has it worse. So I said, I'm not going to go down and see my buddy Ralph, so I go down and I do that. I find a lot of times that that's what gives me the most joy, because, well, when my dad was sick, you know, I mean, he never complained, everybody else felt like he would never even talk about it. I don't know if it was his generation or just the way he was or what, but, like, when he died, I felt really bad. I remember I told him, I think it was like janitorial services, somebody, my dad, he'd be talking to everyone. I said, I feel so bad. I said, you know, my dad died, I didn't do anything. And he said, oh, but you did. You came and you saw him every week. And it meant a lot. And I said, really? All I did was I sat with him. I didn't make him better. And he goes, yeah, but you know, like you sat with him all week long. He'd say, Monday's coming. My daughters will come and get me and take me to the mall. Yeah. I'll play someone and go. So I thought, well, geez, you know, it's really odd because, like, you just, you know, I mean, to me at the time, there was nothing, but I realized how much it meant to him.
Absolutely.
So then, I kind of thought, well, if anyone else ever sick, I'm going to do the same thing. We're like, well, not my brother named Donnie. I mean, he's not really sick. He has autism, you know, slight retardation. He lives in a group home. My father lives in Florida, and our mom had passed away, and I told her not to worry, I would come around and spend, yeah, so I've been his advocate, but unfortunately, I can barely advocate for myself now, but, like, I'll see him and spend time with him.
So great.
And something else that happened that made me very, very happy was the caseworker at the time. When I first started going, well, she had to retire. Well, then, we're friends on Facebook, and she sometimes things are really hard. So she reached out to the new caseworker and said that she wanted to be one of Donnie's advocates. So, and it's funny, I've thought about her over the years, but I was like, I can't call her up and, you know. But it's kind of like, I felt like God helped me out because I was really worried. I'm like, because I couldn't get any other family members to do it. I guess that's very common. I mean, I still couldn't figure out why, because I didn't think he was that hard to take care of, but yeah, you know, and she came over here, you know, and she had said to me how, because before my brother died, before my mom died, they didn't really see me, they didn't really know who I was. So all of a sudden, this person comes out of the woodwork, oh yeah, I'll come by, and I'll take you out every month and stuff. And because they didn't know who I was, they're like, yeah, right, so long this lasts, but I'd done it, you know. So she said that when she saw things going downhill with me, she wanted to make sure Donnie would be okay. And Donnie was somebody that, like, she really liked Donnie, and Donnie, he really liked her. And he's opened up to her about his feelings. Like, he's afraid when I'm gone, he'll just be forgotten. But she made sure, you know, he knows he won't be.
Right.
And all that, and just, it was amazing because, I mean, she showed up at the right time.
Absolutely. I have a question for you, Cindy. You are truly an inspiration to so many people with your positive outlook and all of the wonderful messages you put on Facebook.
I mean, sometimes I have a bad day. I can be crabby and stuff, too. I don't want anyone to think that I'm always positive. I try to be, but, I mean, that's unrealistic. Trust me, I'm not always positive.
Well, you are positive a lot more often than a lot of people are. And so is that God giving you strength to do that? Or how is that possible for you to do that? To be so, post all those wonderful messages and to be such a light to so many people. Is that God helping you?
I really think that it is, because I remember before I got sick, I hate to say it, but I mean, like, I tried to always look for the good stuff in life. I tended to dwell more on the bad things, or I'd be like, I don't know, just doesn't seem like people ever really care. But then when I got sick, this really odd thing had happened. All the people that I grew up with that I thought would be there just kinda. But then it was like I met all these really new, wonderful people that I would never met, you know? It's hard because it's like, I mean, it's scary with all this stuff I got going on, but in a way I feel more at peace now, I think, than before I was sick. Like, before I gotten sick, I always felt like you better watch out, someone might backstab you, this and that. I just, like, I really feel more at peace now. It's hard to explain. But I do, you know? Like, I remember the people at work, there were a couple of people that would give me a really hard time. I mean, they ended up leaving before I got sick, but then I can remember, like, thinking people at work, they think you're okay. But I remember in the beginning, I'm like, if they find out that I'm sick, I'll get kicked off of every project. I'm like, well, they just won't. I think that's how it used to be a long time ago, because I could remember, like a long time ago, if you were sick, you never want to tell your job. And I told my job, but I thought, man, it would be like employment suicide, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm screwed anyways. But I was surprised all these people that came forward.
Right.
Like, they had MS, seizure disorders, Crohn's disease. These were people I've been working with every day. I had no idea, and I'm like, that was when I realized that, you know, like, I would be walking with the utility cart. I said I needed to move supplies. No, I didn't want to use a cane, so people see you walk with the utility cart. They're not going to ask you with the cane, and they can just be like, why are you using the cane? I was surprised. For some reason, I thought people would either think I was contagious and avoid me, or they'd just kind of be like, well, no sense in asking her opinion, she won't be here. But I was surprised. I mean, the exact opposite happened. Just amazing, you know?
That's awesome. Is there any particular thing that you would want to share about your faith to Benny or to other people? I mean, how do you feel about your faith today?
I believe that there's just, like, so many opportunities to see the goodness that life has to offer. But if you spend it all worrying about stuff that doesn't really matter, or, like, if you focus, I mean, we all focus on ourselves, but I think, like, before this whole thing happened, like, I kind of focused more on myself than I should have. But then when you focus more on others, everything can just be a lot better.
Yeah.
It can all come together, you know. Like, the last time when I was up there, like, in the hospital, I mean, there was a bad experience, but I remember the last lady they had in there to watch me, make sure I didn't hop in my chair, take off, do whatever. I remember that they were going to discharge her, and she kept wincing. She had this really bad pain in her side. And I said to her, you really should go to emergency. She's like, you don't understand. She said, I've got a truck. I've got to make payments. I need to get my paycheck. And I said, but if something happens to you, you're not going to be able to enjoy that truck. So I remember as they were going to sign her papers. And then I suddenly said, well, I don't know. I said, this whole thing, I'm so upset. I could do something crazy any second. And I kept her there because it was this one wonderful nurse, and her name was Angela. And I said, please, if Angela could just come in here and talk to you. She's like, yeah, but she's here on the neurology floor. She's not here to, to just look at people. And I said, no, trust me, she's a really good lady. Well, she came in. I think it was either her appendix or gallbladder was going to blow. So she's like, you got to get down to the emergency. So anyway, I like to think that, I mean, God had a hand in that whole thing.
Absolutely.
It's all like the timing, you know? I mean, if she hadn't been there when she was, if they had sent her someplace else, I mean, maybe she still would have gone to emergency. Something tells me she wouldn't have. But I put her in a position where she had to stay until somebody could look at her. So...
Good advice.
Like, I was mad about the people. I mean, like, they were mostly nice and stuff, but I kind of like the idea of having to have people, I enjoyed their company. It's kind of like, it wasn't like I could say I wanted their company. It was like, we're going to send them there, make sure you don't leave that bed even though you can't walk. I'm like, come on, this is silly,
Mm-hmm.
But then you see how it all worked out, because I think God had a hand in that, because, that lady, she could have just left the hospital. She could have been driving home in her new truck. She might not have gotten there, so,
So, good advice about looking at the bigger picture and not stressing so much about all the small stuff.
Final hat too, it's like you can go and do something really nice for somebody, and that person will do something really nice for somebody else. They may not do it back for you, but they can do it to somebody else, and it all works out,
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and we appreciate it very much.